Well, hello, welcome once again to Pale Blooms and Beyond. Thank you for joining us today. Patricia Gefell Dennison, guitar, and Jody Andrews, vocals, were an American folk duo originating in Pennsylvania in 1969 and relocating to New York. In 1972, the duo decided on the name Heaven and Earth and began playing live regionally with a backing band. A trio of singles released along with an album, Refuge, in 1973. At the time, the album sold 10,000 copies, so it sold very well. The listeners loved their sound, and Heaven and Earth always went down well in concert. Unfortunately, for various reasons, there would be no second album. Pat and Joe called it a day the following year. But that wasn't the end of the story. With the advent of the internet and a resurgence of interest in the album Refuge, it was reissued decades later in 2010 to a whole new generation of listeners and fans. Well, welcome, Pat.
Thank you so much. It's nice to see you, Greg.
Nice to see you and meet you and visit with you. Well, take us back to the beginning. Where were you born?
I was born in Rochester, New York. It's up near Canada.
Oh, how many miles is it from Canada?
Oh, there's a lake that joins Canada and Rochester.
Okay, so it's not very far at all. Okay.
No. In fact, I have a little story I'll tell you about that.
Sure.
My mentor, Joni Mitchell, who was from Canada, the first time I heard her, this was before she was famous. I was in a coffee shop with my boyfriend, and she came and sang a couple of songs on the stage. And the person next to me, at the table next to me, was writing down the lyrics to her song. And at the break, I said to him, "Oh my God, I wish I had those lyrics. I just fell in love with her." And he tried to copy them on a napkin, so I got like a couple of lines that I took home with me. Yeah.
Did you?
So that's my connection to Canada.
Oh, okay.
Music.
Did you happen to save that napkin?
Oh yes, I had it in my wallet for years.
Frame it, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you have fond childhood memories. Do you remember hearing music early in the household?
Oh yeah, my dad was a piano player. Really good piano player. He could play anything. And my sister and I used to sing at the piano with him, and we'd work out harmonies. And it was such a wonderful memory and affected me deeply, obviously, because I became a musician. But yeah, and he even contributed to my very first guitar. He told me if I saved my babysitting money, and this was when I was only 13, 12 or 13, he said, "I'll match whatever you save up at Christmas time and we'll get you a really good guitar."
Oh, okay.
Because the guitar that I had, I borrowed from a friend. At that time, all my friends were into boyfriends, and I was not ready for that. And we used to get together at her house, and there was this guitar in the corner, and I asked her if I could play it. And so I'd plinky on the bed while they were talking about kissing. And I fell in love with it. And my father had just bought a stereo, they were just coming out then, stereo music. And he had this album, the Kingston Trio. Do you remember them?
Oh, yes.
And I took the guitar and I wanted to play what they were playing so badly that I spent hours making the guitar sound like what they were playing.
Yes.
Which was not the correct way to tune it. It worked for me.
Yeah. Well, as long as it worked, as long as it worked for you, that's
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I remember. I just wanted to add my dad's hi-fi. I remember when I was little, hearing him play Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass.
Oh yeah.
I remember growing up to that, and I still have his albums. When he passed away, I took them, but yeah, I remember that and some of the other, like the Limelighters, the Limelighters.
I don't remember them so much, but
But they were a folk, and they put out a few albums too, folk group. Well, here's that question, and I'm glad you did your research. Do you remember the first 45 or album that you bought?
I remember a little 45 record player that we used to dance to. It was Rock Around the Clock.
Uh-huh,
It was
yeah.
like, I forget what, the jitterbugging or something like that. And then I think once I started playing the guitar and really listening to the folk music that my dad had, then I started going in that direction. And I was so into like Peter, Paul and Mary and Pete Seeger and Joan Baez and Judy Collins. And, uh, just, I mean, I fell in love with it and learned many, many of their songs. That's how I started out. And I used to sing with my sister, the two of us as a duo. We went around to like things in our school, and then they had a big uh, contest and we won $50. We were so
Ooh.
excited about it.
Well, back then that was some money. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So anyway, I wanted to go the music direction after high school, but I didn't know how to do that. And there was a big band player called Fred Waring,
Oh,
who was
yes.
from the 30s, and he had a chorus that he traveled with because he had such a huge following. And he came to our school and he was asked the music department if they had anybody to audition. So I got an audition there, recommended, and he sent me off to a school in Pennsylvania where you learned this particular kind of, it was called diphthong singing, choral singing, so that everybody blends by saying the same thing at the same time, even though it might not make sense if you just spoke it. When you
Yeah.
sang it. So I went to learn this technique and I met Joe there.
Oh, is that how y'all met? Okay.
Yeah. And so I was there for a summer. I stayed the whole summer with them, just, hanging out at the school, doing performances, learning things, meeting people. And there were a lot of famous people that came there in and out because he had a whole like golf course attached to the school. So it was a very famous place. Anyway, I ended up going back to Joe's little town near Princeton, New Jersey called Cranberry.
Okay.
Really sweet, sweet place. All the houses are painted white in town, and it looks like it's, storybook.
Well, first, I don't know if this is in order or if it's after this, but who were the Pennsylvanians?
The Pennsylvanians were a singer group that did these diphthong sort of, things, but he also had a huge band. So Jody and I met there, and that summer we decided I didn't want to go home, and neither did she. We moved to New York City and got an apartment together.
They asked you to join, but you didn't want to go on the road.
No, we were doing our own thing by then.
Right.
I played the guitar, she sang. She was very talented. She did commercials for a long time. In fact, this might be a good time to read the little thing that she wrote because she couldn't be here.
Sure.
Would you like me to do that?
Yes, please do.
Okay, this is Joe D of Heaven and Earth, just checking in. Thanks for your interest in our music. I just thought I would give you a little background on some of our songs, like Castle in the Air and Feel the Spirit. Pat and I were roommates in Manhattan in the 1970s. We met at a music workshop in Pennsylvania during the summer of 1969 and decided to get an apartment in the city as our next great adventure. Amazingly, we found a place just off Riverside Drive in 92nd Street. It was a one-bedroom on the second floor of an old townhouse built in the 1900s. We thought that place really had potential, and it did. We could tell a million stories about that place.
Could you?
In order to pay rent, I got a job as a waitress at a rib joint on the east side, and Pat worked as a coat model in the garment district. That meant Pat worked days and I worked nights. So the only time we saw each other was after 11 p.m. or on the weekends. Patricia was already a great folk guitarist and singer, and I had been singing professionally on commercials and records since the tender age of 9. But we really didn't have a plan for what might come next musically for either of us. We had very little money and not much food, but the city spoke to us, and we did love music. My record player and an album radio clock were all that was connected to us, between us and the outer world. Once we were home in our apartment, Pat played the guitar while I talked and talked. One night, Pat played some beautiful chords and amazing finger picking on one of her many unusual tunings, and I picked up my notebook and started writing lyrics to a melody I had been humming. That's how Castle in the Air came to be. It's about a place called Hillbrow, which was not far from the music workshop where we met. The song is also about the two of us in New York City, sitting by our city windowsill, thinking about the incredible summer we had before moving to New York City, where we were now facing some of the harsher realities of living in the big city on your own. We wrote on the road while in Chicago recording our album, Refuge. We wrote songs, the song Feel the Spirit. The road is a hard place to be on the holidays, especially when they're approaching. We were so nostalgic for home and yet kind of eerie and aware of the turbulence of the world that had been challenged by everyone for years. And so that's how we wrote. We wrote how we felt. Best regards. She,
You be sure and thank her for that.
I will.
Because she has a nice way of writing too, I have to say.
She does, yeah. She's a really good writer.
Yes. Well, thank her since she couldn't be here. And also fast recovery. Be sure and wish her that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She sounded pretty bad.
It's going around. I just got over a couple of weeks ago that upper respiratory infection, and it seems like every winter I get it, So,
yeah.
It wasn't COVID, but it's
it's still, that's good. Yeah.
It's still
Thank
not
God for that.
It's not a good thing. Well, how did you guys come up with the name Heaven and Earth?
I think somebody else came up with that because Jody had the higher voice, and my voice was low, and we started talking about opposites.
Oh, okay.
And Heaven and Earth, I had blonde hair then. I bleached my hair, and she had really dark hair. I'll tell you a funny story about that too.
Yeah.
We were in Ohio, and we were about to do a TV show there because we were promoting our album. And I decided I didn't want my roots growing in, so I was going to streak some of my hair before the performance, and I forgot about it. We started talking, and my hair turned bright orange.
Oh, did it?
So I had to go on with the scarf tied behind my neck. It was so funny.
Well, glad you caught it before you actually went on.
Yeah. Thank God.
Oh man, that's funny. I enjoy story, and I know the viewers enjoy stories like that, side stories and anecdotes. So they're always welcome. Well, I was going to ask you, in '72, you began performing live. Do you recall who was in the backing band?
We actually got invited to do a spot in a show of another big band, Hugo Winterhalter.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Her father was one of the teachers at the Fred Waring workshop. And he left there, and Hugo Winterhalter asked him to go on the road with him because he had a chorus also besides a band.
Yeah.
And by this time, Jody and I had written quite a few songs, and he gave us a spot in the show. So we were traveling around, and we were in Chicago, and it was the classic story back then. The record producer was in the audience and he heard us and he came backstage and he goes, "I want to sign you up."
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that's
Okay.
how we got to do our album.
That was my next question. You're a mind reader. Yeah. Yeah. That's good because you hear about so many bands and artists that are knocking on doors, forever, and
Yeah.
maybe never got that contract. So that was good that they were a rep from Ovation. Ovation was
Yeah, we were lucky.
their timing and luck has so much to do with it.
Yeah, it's a tough business.
Yes, yes. Well, then came the album Refuge, co-produced by Dick Shorey of Ovation and Jodi's husband George Andrews.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
he already had some experience in that business.
Yeah,
George.
he was a music arranger and he did some incredible things to our songs. He just made them sound so great. I'll forever be indebted to him.
Yes, yes. Was this the first time for both of you to be in a recording studio?
Jody was way more experienced than I was. She did a lot of commercials as a young kid.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and her parents were both in show business.
Okay.
They did, I forget what the guy's name was. He had a show in New York and they used to go in and do them live, so it was like 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, you're on, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, she was around that kind of stuff all her life and recorded a lot of stuff with her dad or for her dad as voiceovers.
Yeah.
I had a little bit of experience because when we lived in New York, George would ask us to come down in the studio and say, "I need 2 singers to blah, blah, blah." So that was about the only time I ever recorded until my own album. So,
Okay, till that came. Okay.
yeah, it was pretty exciting.
Well, the album was recorded in quadraphonic sound. For those who are too young to remember, tell us what quadraphonic sound was.
Well, it meant the sound was split in 4 ways so that if you got in the middle of the room, it could sound like someone was talking to you and right in front of you. It was supposed to be like this new, fantastic way of listening to records.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that was a good selling point actually, because we had that technique. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yes, so many today have never heard of it. I'm sure the younger crowd. But
Yeah.
and then I'm thinking of the Who album Quadrophenia.
Oh, yeah.
Reminded of that too. Yeah. Well, I wanted to mention the tracks that I enjoy from the album, and maybe get your memories, recollections, a history behind the songs if you
Sure.
have those. Uh, Listening to it, it's right up my alley. The album itself, mostly soft, pastoral, baroque folk. Again, that's my kind of music. I thoroughly enjoyed the album once I listened to it.
Oh, thank you.
Voice in the Wind, pretty song. I like the flute and the strings and the echoey background vocals. Yeah, on that one. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks to George, our arranger.
Okay. He did. He did add that. Yeah, that touch to the album. Yeah, you could hear it through all the songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I wrote that song about a good friend of mine who was having dating relationship problems, and she suffered a lot. And I almost all of my songs are about tough times growing up in my professional life. So yeah, we never really got into the rock band thing.
Right.
I
Right.
I really wish now that I did have band experience, but the most experience I had in that direction was playing with one other guitar player, a lead guitar player. His name was Chuck Chittenden.
Okay.
And he traveled around with us, so he was part of our act, and he was great. He made us sound wonderful live. But we lost touch. We all lost touch. Jody and I had our families, and we kind of split up then.
Okay, that's what happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the it's a nice cover and orchestration on the Stephen Stills "To a Flame." No,
Oh yeah, a lot of people love that, not just because they knew the song, but because the arrangement was so
right.
different. Yeah.
Almost like it better than Stephen's version, you know. Yeah, it's different. Yeah, we won't. Yeah, yeah. We won't. Yeah, I won't advertise that, but it's different. Let's put it that way. And then tomorrow is a long time. Both of your voices work well together in this one.
Yeah, that's such a beautiful song too.
Yes, it is.
It
Yes.
really, that was one of the first non-folky folk songs that I learned, or modern folk songs, I guess you could call it. Yeah,
Yeah.
Judy Collins did it on her album, and it just went right into my heart.
Yes. Yes. The original was by Dylan. Um, and
Oh, right, right,
yeah.
yeah.
Did you happen to see the new movie, the biopic?
No, but I saw him in concert in New York City like 5 or maybe 7 years ago. And I expected to see him, but instead I got this 1950s guy dressed up in a suit with spats and singing to the microphone like Frank Sinatra. And I'm like, what?
I know.
It was interesting.
I haven't yet seen it. But a lot of times when I hear, a lot of pomp and, rave reviews, then it's kind of a letdown once I do, go
Yeah.
anything, any kind of reviews about something, then my expectations are really high.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
wanted to make you feel like the album did, right?
Yes, that's
You
right.
forget the people.
That's right. Speaking of New York folkies, are you familiar with Carolyn Hester? Does that name ring a bell?
No.
She was up there in that Greenwich Village in the early '60s. I did an interview with her, and gosh, I forget. She's 80 something, but still, I mean, she was still when talked to her playing live with her daughters.
Wow.
But she tells the story of Bob. It was before he ever recorded, and he was going around asking everybody, "Can I play on your album? Can I play with you?" I mean, and he asked her, "Can I play on one of your albums?" And she said, "Okay." And he played the harmonica, not the guitar, just the harmonica on
Oh,
one of
wow.
her. It's,
Yeah,
it's a nice story to hear.
that's a little before my time.
Yes,
By
yes, it
the
is.
time I played in the village, he was very famous.
Very big, very big. Well, going back to now, I was surprised to see this song on here because it's one of my all-time favorites. 60 Years On. Elton John's, that's one of my top favorite songs of his.
Yeah,
And
that was an amazing song.
yes, it is. Yes, it is. And you guys did a good version, a good rendition also on that. So, yeah, that's
Thank
that's
you.
that's nice to dig a little deeper into his repertoire, and find something like that, not just the commercial.
Yeah, well, George used to say to me, that's Jody's husband, the arranger. He used to say, don't listen to the song. Learn the melody, learn the words, and play it in one of your tunings. Make it yours.
Uh-huh. Right. Right. Exactly. Because what's the point of hearing a song that's done basically the same way?
Yeah,
You
right.
know, you
Exactly.
know. So
Yeah.
well, here's maybe my favorite on the album. If not, it's one of my favorites. Song for Craig.
Oh, that song was written for Jody's brother, whom I married. So
Okay.
that's where that came from.
Okay. All right. We won't go delve any further into that, but it is a nice track. It is a really
Thank you. You know,
nice.
I lived growing up in Rochester. We never did traveling as a family or anything like that. So uh, during that summer between the workshop and moving to New York City, we used to go to the beach a lot because they were like an hour away from it in New Jersey. That's where they lived. And I had never seen the ocean before. So when, the line about the ocean falling through my feet or something like that, it literally happened. I was like, what's going on? I had never seen a wave like that. So yeah, that was
Just
a
It just took the ground right up from under you.
Very romantic time.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, and many say a happier time too. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, and then one last track, Tell Me How to Know You. I really like that one.
Yeah, that one, we were starting to be very philosophical by that time. Joni Mitchell wrote the cloud song. I've seen clouds from up and down and all of that. So, we started wondering about why things were the way, and it was such a turbulent time in that time in the world, kind of like now, but
Like now, I was
not
going to
quite.
say. Right.
Yeah, so
Exactly.
yeah, and wondering about things like that, who we were and what life was all about. So yeah, I started after we broke up. I went to a Vedanta school of spiritual practice,
Oh, okay. Okay. Tell us about that.
and I divorced Jody's brother, which was a really hard time for me, and I started dating, and like three people, none of them knew each other, kept saying, "You should go to this school. You should go to this school of practical philosophy." So I asked for the tuition from my sister for Christmas. She gave it to me, and I had my notebooks out, and I was all ready to learn about Kant and all these people. And the first thing they said was, put your notebook away. This is all about being in the moment and listening. And and I learned how to meditate there, and it changed my life. I mean, I really went in a completely different direction, and I started singing about what was happening to me. So I have an album that I did on my own, a CD. It was self produced by Walter.
Okay.
With all that kind of stuff, you can get it on my website. And then I
What's the
started.
title? What's the title? What's the title?
Who's watching?
Okay. Okay.
Referring to who am I really that's watching my life?
Yeah. Yes.
And am I living it the way I want to? That sort of stuff. I know people are very, very into that now. Um, but what was I going to say? Oh, after that, I got a job as a teacher, teaching music to kids,
Mhm.
and I loved it. They let me have carte blanche. I wrote the whole curriculum.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, and I really had a fun time. And it was the perfect thing for me in my life at that time because I was like in my 50s and I had gone back to school and gotten my degree. So I was kind of set up there once I got too tired to really be in the music business anymore. And that really ruined my voice
Did it? Did it?
because I had to sometimes sing over the kids to get their attention and keep them on pitch, and I stopped singing after that because I just all I wanted to do was rest my voice when I got home.
Yes.
But I did continue to play the guitar and do a couple of other CDs with just a fingerstyle guitar playing. So you can get that on my website
On
also.
your website also. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, people interested, go to her website and then tell us the address of the website.
It's dennison-music.com.
Okay. All right.
Isn't that right? Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody interested can go there and check that out. And if you're interested in the album too. Well, yeah, again, going back to that album, this response from the listeners and fans was really nice. 10,000 albums. Unfortunately, the label couldn't pigeonhole you into one genre or another. And
Yeah.
that's been going on forever.
Yeah.
If they couldn't stereotype you, then so the promotion was not really there.
Yeah. Yeah. And Jody and George were on the road with us the whole time, and all of a sudden they started a family.
Yeah.
So
Funny how that happens.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I was too afraid to go on by myself. So
Well, well,
at
we'll,
that point,
we'll talk about her dad fell ill, right?
yeah, he got bone cancer, and for like a year, we just were in her home trying to help her mom and
You guys
make
helped
him
her.
comfortable. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that was a really hard time.
I can imagine. Can imagine. Well, and really without, backing of the record company, all the playing on the road really wouldn't come to any, avail, no avail anyway,
Yeah,
promoting it.
we did record another album then
Okay.
that was never released.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
we still have it.
Really? Has there been any interest, anybody, any labels contacting?
Yeah, I mean, with the Heaven and Earth has a little spot on my website that you can go to and talk to us. And we had many requests. What are you doing now? Are you going to do another album? Blah, 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 blah. But we got so busy raising our families, and we were in different towns and different directions that it never just came about.
Right, right. Well, maybe. I mean, you never know.
That's true.
I mean, you probably, put to bed the idea of Refuge ever being reissued again, you
Yeah.
know, and then that happened. So, uh, yeah, I was going to say, your story of a band or artist lost to time only to see a revival decades later is one I've run across many times doing these interviews. And the internet played a vital role in that rediscovery. Yeah,
Yeah.
yes. When did you guys begin to hear of a resurgence of interest?
I think it was right around that time that they wanted to reissue the album. So we were shocked. I mean, we were shocked when the first one sold 10,000 copies.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah,
Well, it shows you people, will gravitate to good music, and quality music. They know that, and even some of the younger people today, probably, finding that out and listening to that. Do you get
yeah.
comments from younger fans?
Not too many, no, because I don't think uh, our website is on the air. It is it? Oh, I thought it was just an appendage of mine, but apparently it has its own thing. And you know, after years, I haven't really checked it, but Jody was kind of like the manager of our group. She made sure everything got done.
Okay.
And that's why it was disappointing that she's not here, because she remembers everything because she
Yeah.
organized it all.
Okay. Okay. Well,
Um,
you remember a whole lot. I'm hearing that, you know,
yeah, well, yeah, that's my experience.
and you're sticking to it, right?
Yeah.
That's your story. Yeah. Yeah. I think, and going back to the teaching, I've seen that a common theme with musicians or ex-musicians that go into that career, you know, teaching
Yeah.
not just music, but other, arts. And so there's something to be said about that correlation.
Yeah, I didn't become a music teacher to the end of my career. I taught like kindergarten to first grade for years, and a lot of nursery school.
Yeah.
In fact, I think more nursery school than anything. And then at the end, I switched jobs because I thought I was going to get a job teaching first grade again. And instead they said, "Oh, wait a second, you're a musician? I see that on your resume. You are now our music teacher."
You got,
So
you
I
got
grabbed at the chance.
right, right. You got promoted to that right away. Well. Have you heard in teaching? Have you heard back from your students? Any, over the years, that kind of thing?
It's funny you would bring that up. When I married Walter, my husband,
Mhm.
uh, I invited some of my teacher friends, and my son invited some of his friends. And one of the friends was in uh, the class of my best friend. He was at my wedding,
Oh.
and so was she, and they looked at each other and like, "Oh my God, is that you?" By
Wow.
this time he was in his 20s or whatever.
Uh-huh. And they
Yeah.
remember each other. Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's funny how those kind of things happen
I know, it really is.
along the way. Well, again, Lion Productions was the one that reissued the album. Where are they? Chicago, right?
Are they in Chicago? Yeah, I guess they are.
Okay, okay,
I was thinking
Chicago.
it was farther west, but
Okay, okay. I think I've seen a few of their reissues. I've seen that. It has the lion logo
uh,
on
yeah,
there. Yes, I think I have seen
he's
it.
very nice. I forget what his name is, but he was really helpful.
Really, really helpful. Well, what kind of reaction did you hear after that? Did you from your fans or from other people after
Oh,
the?
yeah, we heard from many people that we knew that were, you know, fans of ours, friends of ours. They were like, "Yay, you're back on the job."
Yeah.
And this new compilation.
Yeah,
Well, I think the music has aged well too. You know, again, that time period, the singer-songwriter, all of that kind of has aged pretty well.
yeah,
But especially the soft folk, like that is, timeless. It's pretty timeless.
yeah. I mean, everybody needs to take a break and slow down and think, right?
That's right. That's right. And you talk about different times, but especially the times that we're living in now. Yeah, I think everybody needs that
Yeah.
interjection of that kind of solace and peace that music can bring. Did I hear Walter say something about a compilation? Did I hear something?
Remember that one you're getting put on, the new one from the UK? Remember where they rewrote the sleeve notes last year?
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Someone from the UK called and wanted to take one of our songs and put it on a refuge and put it on a
Various artists
compilation of songs that,
From that era.
yeah, from
that era. Oh, I wonder if it was it Cherry Red? Does that ring a bell?
Let me go look up.
Okay, that's a
Go
that's
look
a
up.
UK label. That's one that I get a lot of various artists in those compilations from. Cherry Red is a really good one. So I've discovered a lot of music, through their releases or reissues and things like that too. So a lot of bands that kind of flew under the radar, as they say,
Yeah.
that weren't big at the time. But yeah, yeah. I was going to ask you too. Are you familiar with David McWilliams? That name
No.
that name doesn't ring a bell. He was late 60s, early 70s, Irish folk musician. Um, I will after this. I will send you. He's one of my favorites. Just the kind of the soft.
I love that stuff.
Yeah.
Irish.
So I think you'll like his.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you'll like his material, but he doesn't sound Irish when you listen to it. Well, they're really good at doing that. The
Yeah.
UK musician, he's sounding American. You don't hear the accent, but he was really impacted me, and really good quality. Of course, sad he died young. He passed away young. But
Hmm.
I will send you maybe uh, through the email some links or just the actual songs, to let you listen to,
I
because
would love that.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think you would enjoy his David McWilliams. I guess I was going to ask you. Let's see, real quick. Um, um, do you recall? Here's one I could have asked. Any particular live show or concert that you guys played? Any memories that stood out?
The one that just popped in my mind was a kind of a bittersweet thing that happened. We were on the road with the big band where the record producer came from the audience backstage.
Oh, okay.
We were on tour and we went to have dinner at a restaurant, and someone broke into our bus and stole instruments, costumes, all these things.
Oh,
And we were traumatized,
yeah, yeah.
especially the people with instruments. I mean, for some reason, they didn't take my guitar. I had tucked it underneath my seat, so there was only a little bit of it showing, but they went for the big things, you know,
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
the violins and the trumpets and all this stuff. And everyone was crying. It was really terrible. And we had a show that night.
Right.
So we had no costumes. We had nothing. We had to just go out there and wing it the best we could.
Yeah.
And we had half of a band practically because the instruments were stolen. Fortunately, we had my guitar. So Jody and I got to do a few more songs just to kind of fill in. And yeah, that was very funny. We made the best of it.
Right, right.
But it was really kind of tragic too, you know, cost us a
Oh.
lot of money or them.
Oh, it would. And none of the instruments have shown up over the years.
No, they never caught them.
Never caught them. Yeah. Yeah. I have
I
talked
forget where we were. I think we're in North Dakota or some weird place like that. Not that North Dakota is weird, but it was far away for us, is what I meant.
Right. And not that North Dakota breeds, people that steal equipment either.
Yeah.
No, that doesn't happen. But yeah, that's interesting. I've had two or three I've talked to. One just recently, all the equipment, everything was gone, and that's
Yeah.
got to be devastating. That's just, and they just had to reschedule everything. And yeah, that's not a fun thing. Well, you got that compilation or the
Yes. The person's name is Paul Hillary.
Okay.
And it's BBE Music.
BBE. I don't know if I'm familiar with that label. BBE music. Okay.
Frolic
Oh.
Folk and Funk,
Okay.
Volume 3.
Volume 3. That's
Okay.
It's coming out this month or next month.
Oh, is it? Okay. Well, that's something. Yeah, my so they've already had a couple anyway. So
There's another title here called Tippy
No, it's
Troubadour.
all the same thing.
Oh, it's all the same.
Funk, trippy.
Oh, I see.
Okay. Well, it's always nice to hear. I'm sure people following you in different labels that
I know. It
like
was
the music.
Yeah.
Especially
Real
from
ego
the
trip.
from the UK. Exactly. I talked to so many, and it's interesting how they were popular in different countries, and there's really no rhyme or reason, like, well, Brazil was our, favorite place, to play, or Japan. I hear about Japanese audiences, just eating up American
Yeah, I think I had a lot of hits from different people, right?
Well, about 10 years ago, we sold a bunch of albums to a Japanese music label.
Yeah.
And they're big
So
fans there.
interesting.
Yeah. And to hear how the different audiences react, the different peoples and the different countries too, so
Yeah.
a lot of it is strange. And then they'll, people I've talked to say getting royalties from wherever, Israel, for instance, it's like, wow, that's that's weird,
Yeah.
but it happens.
Well, one of my albums, my CDs on my website, there was a song on it. I argued with Walter. I said, "Don't put this song on. It's not that great. It doesn't fit with the rest of them." But he put it on anyway, and it's the only one that everybody plays all the time.
Okay.
So you never know what can happen.
That's right. And go ahead and plug the song. Go ahead and plug it.
I think it's called Spring Songs of Spring Fever. That's what it is.
Oh, Spring Fever. Okay.
Yeah, and it's on a CD called Note Painting.
Oh, okay. All right. How many solo CDs do you have?
3, I think. Yeah, one I'm singing on, and the other 2 are instrumentals.
Oh, okay. Well, again, that's for fans or listeners.
Planning a 4th for Morrison.
Oh, to go back.
He's
and
planning a 4th.
Oh, a fourth one's coming up. Okay. All right. Well, I'm pretty much out of questions now. I think I can't think of anything else?
Yeah, I can't think of anything else to add.
Yeah, you pretty much covered, I think.
Yeah, when we get together as a family, Joe and I with our
Mhm.
kids, and we do some singing then, and they all adore us, so it's fun.
Yes, yes.
Talked about a couple times at the beach, that you and she wrote new songs.
Oh, yeah. We hadn't seen each other in years and years. And then my grandson had his 10th birthday, and they always go to the beach. My daughter takes her family down there. And so we decided, because he was finally in double digits, we'd go down there and, party down with him. And Joe was there. And I brought my guitar because I knew she was there. And we wrote like 3 or 4 or 5 songs. Really great stuff.
Yeah.
But, she's kind of tied up now. Her husband is ill. And, it's just, I don't think anything is going to come from that. But we'll see. You never know, right?
That's right. Like we said earlier, never know. Don't ever say no. Never say never. But
Yeah.
yeah. Well, that's good to hear too. And hopefully, looking forward to some new material from you. That's what Walter was just saying. And then that various artists, that compilation, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, again, thank Jody again for her notes,
I will.
her recollections, and wish her a speedy recovery.
I will. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, thank you, Pat.
Yeah.
Again,
All right.
thank you, Walter.
You're very
Over there in the shadows.
Yeah.
No, thank you. Thank
He's
you
my
again.
guardian angel.
There you go. It's nice to have one of those. It's nice.
Yes.
It is. All right. Well, all the best to you both, and to Jody. And I will get you a copy of this. Usually takes a week or so to edit. And then, well, not the whole time to edit. I usually will do these on the weekends, and then the following weekend I'll edit, when I have time, because
Yeah.
I can't do it during the week. I work. But all right. Well, again, I appreciate it. I've really enjoyed it visiting with you. And
Yeah, me too. Thanks so much, Greg.
Oh, you're very welcome. As they say, thanks for the memories. Who was it that was his theme song? Thanks
for the memories. Yeah.
Thanks for the memories. Da, 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 da,
Yep,
da.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Was that Bob Hope? Was that Bob Hope?
I don't know. My techie husband is looking it up.
I know the song. I can't. Oh, he'll find it.
On the tip of your tongue when we say goodbye, then it'll come out.
That's right. 2 or 3 hours later, it's gonna hit me, or in the middle of the sleeping at night. I'll wake up. That's when it happens.
Yeah, it was Bob Hope.
It was Bob Hope.
It was
Okay.
Bob Hope. You were right.
All right. I have to, pat myself.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Again, thank you so much, and keep in touch, and I'll keep in touch, and do send me any new updates or anything, like if you have new material, anything like that, and just let me know how everything's going. And again, all the best to you and to your fans, your families, and everything. So thanks again.
Thank you so much. Okay, you
All
take
right.
care.
All right. Bye-bye for now,
Bye-bye.
Pat. All right. Bye-bye.
How do I hang up?
Close your eyes as darkness cries and solitude surrounds our song, our song, our song. We give to you a song so blue for empty thoughts to ramble through your mind, your mind, your What can we share with you today? Would you like snowflakes that sing, or presents from the king? We feel the spirit rising fast. He's speaking rhymes filled with signs. When will they come to pass? Feel the spirit. Feel the spirit. Walking down the street of life, or do you feel the spirit? We were meant to see all of the December's frost is here to stay, and I see thoughts moving in. Take all the warmth away. We have our young, live our lives, but they can't see through our eyes, so their hearts don't die. Our babies feel the spirit. They need to feel the spirit. Skipping down the street